This Thursday night, the NFL season kicks off with the two most disliked teams in town, the Cowboys at the Super Bowl champion Eagles. Walters has tons of TVs both inside and out and has you covered all football season, located just across the street from the ballpark.
For over a century, Johnny Walker has shared its bold spirit with the game of golf. Now, crafted with Devereaux Golf, Johnny Walker introduces the Johnny Walker Blue Label-inspired Sunday Golf Bag, elevating the game with sleek design, Blue Label hues, and refined gold accents. Celebrate your hole-in-one with a premium Sunday bag crafted by Devereaux Golf. Submit proof of your achievement to johnnywalker.com/blue-in-1. Please drink responsibly.
The 2-1. Swinging a fly ball right field deep. Going back, Weber to the warning track at the wall, and there it goes! Nasim Nuñez, first Major League home run! It's 4-0 Nationals. Nunez circles the bases for the first time in the big leagues. He's got a huge smile on his face as he will touch home plate, palms to the sky as if he can't believe it. James Wood greets him after he crosses home plate. Nasim Nuñez, first big league home run, and he does it against the Marlins of all teams. Now the set, the 1-0 pitch. Nunez cracks one to left center field deep, chasing back the center fielder Marcy on the go, and it's gone! Nasim Nuñez homers again! He hits that into the Marlins bullpen. Nationals 10, Marlins 5. Have yourself a day, Nasim Nuñez. He's homered into each bullpen.
And welcome to Nats Chat, along with MASNsports.com Nationals insider Mark Zuckerman, who was at Nationals Park. I'm Al Galdi, host of the Al Galdi podcast. It happened on the backs of the likes of Andrew Alvarez and Nasim Nuñez, but it happened, it being just the Nationals' second sweep of a series of at least 3 games in MLB's 2025 regular season, in which the Nats now are 56-83. They will not tie for the worst record by the team in a regular season since the franchise moved to D.C. Wednesday afternoon, a 10-5 win over the Miami Marlins at Nationals Park to complete a 3-game sweep. The Nats' other sweep of a series of at least 3 games this regular season was a 3-game sweep at the Orioles this past May 16th through the 18th. The Nats sweep the Marlins in what ended up being a very fun and enjoyable series if you're a Nats fan. Nice to say that. You can find us on X at Nats_chat. You can find us on Blue Sky at Nats Chat Podcast. You can email us, natschatpodcast@gmail.com. We have a website that we invite you to check out too, natschatpodcast.com, at which you can purchase a Nats Chat Podcast t-shirt. We on Wednesday morning had reports of a major front office departure for the Nats. We'll get to that, but if I may channel my inner Vern Lundquist, in your life, would you have ever anticipated Nasim Nuñez homering twice in this game on Wednesday afternoon? You know, so often in sports and in life, it's not just what, it's who. The who in this game, Nasim Nuñez, 2 homers, Brady House with a home run, ended up making for a really fun and enjoyable game. The Nats bullpen remains on fire. Mitchell Parker did have another disappointing outing. But Mark, dare I say that we just witnessed the most unlikely multi-home run game in Nationals history.
Especially when he had never hit 1 before, let alone 2. Nasim Nuñez, if you were wondering, had taken 1,820 career minor league plate appearances. And in that time, he only hit 9 home runs. Now, one of them did come earlier, just within the last month at Rochester. He was on a hot streak there before he got called up, and he did feel good about his swing. And this kid, we know how confident he is, but I really liked what he said to us afterwards. He said, he knows what the knock on him is. He knows he can play defense. He knows he can run the bases. And he knows the knock is that he can't hit. And he said he needs to prove himself right to be able to do it. And so when he did go out there and finally do it in a big league game, not just once, but twice, and oh, by the way, had another RBI hit as well in this game, it just reinforced his own belief in himself. Does it mean anything in the bigger picture? Who knows? But on this one day in particular, Nasim Nuñez was a legitimate big league hitter to go along with the great defense and base running. what a day for him. I asked him where this ranks, in all the games of his life that he's ever played. And he said it's right up there with anything he's ever done on a baseball field.
So the Nats this past Monday morning announced having recalled Nasim Nuñez from AAA-Rochester. He is a September call-up. If you're just talking about what he had done at the major league level, 127 MLB regular season plate appearances coming into this game on Wednesday afternoon, 0 homers. But he is the Nats starting shortstop and number 9 batter, went 3 for 4 with 2 homers and also an RBI single. He had a Nats 2-run second, had a 1-out solo shot to right field for a 4-0 Nats lead. He had a Nats 2-run eighth, had a 1-out opposite field 2-run homer to left center for a 10-5 Nats lead. It's worth noting Nasim Nuñez was drafted by the Marlins. So they took him in the second round of the 2019 MLB draft. The Nats got him via taking him in the 2023 Rule 5 draft. And one of the things about Nasim Nuñez, he's a very likable player. He's charismatic. I mean, you get to talk to him. So this, he's fun-loving. And so to see him do this, you felt like you could share in the joy of him doing this. We no longer, for the most part anyway, see pitchers hit unless you're Shinosuke Ogasawara and Drew Millis just got injured. So, unlikely home runs don't really happen anymore, but these were unlikely home runs. So it was a very cool and fun thing. And, in a lost season to have something like this was definitely a positive.
What I love to see, first of all, it's his reaction as he goes around the bases. And he's a confident, cocky player. He plays with style, and he enjoyed those trips around the bases, to be sure. But what I also love to see is the reaction from the teammates that he got when he crosses the plate, comes back to the dugout, and then the Gatorade showers that he got after the game from James Wood, C.J. Abrams, Luis Garcia. He got a bunch of them after the game. They love him. He brings so much energy to the game. They know, and he knows that, what the knock on him is, and that what his ultimate role, if he can stick up here, is probably going to be. But anytime someone like that delivers in that way, it means something to them. And it means something also because of what they saw him do last year. He kept himself on the big league roster the whole year as a Rule 5 draft pick, who for certainly the first 4 months, he barely played at all. That's a tough spot to be in for anyone. And the fear is always, and the reason teams are reluctant to do it and why so many of them don't pan out in the long run, is because you're stalling their development. This is somebody who shouldn't have been in the big leagues at the time, but you're going to put him in the big leagues, keep him on the roster, not play him, try to work with him as much as you can, and then the following year send him down to the minors and hope that it all works out for him in the end. So to see those kind of positive results, knowing the work that he's put in without having that much opportunity to play at this level, it really resonates with a lot of them. He's not a James Wood or a C.J. Abrams. And in a lot of ways, it makes it more meaningful when he does something like this.
131 plate appearances now, on base percentage of .344. He actually hasn't been that bad offensively at the major league level. Hasn't hit for much power beyond what he did on Wednesday afternoon, but he actually has gotten on base at a decent clip. We know he can run. We know he can play the field. He's making a compelling case for having an MLB career as a backup, as a utility guy, but he's showing himself to be someone who can be competent, can be halfway decent at the major league level. So I give him a lot of credit. And maybe this is a Rule 5 pick that works out. Like you said, so few of these things work out. And the Nats haven't exactly killed it with these Rule 5 picks in recent years. But Nasim Nuñez just might pan out.
So like I said, he did turn a corner over the last month in Rochester. His August stats at AAA, 19 games, .365 average, .425 on base percentage. So he's always had the ability to work the count and draw walks, but then he did finally start hitting the ball for some power. I think it was 4 doubles and a homer that he hit, and then you saw in this one. I thought it was interesting. Brady House was saying that he wasn't that surprised by what he did with the 2 home runs. He said he hits in the same BP group as him, and the previous day on Tuesday, he said Nunez was blasting them into the second deck over and over again. So he knows he has it in him. And truthfully, when you watch those swings, they look like legit power swings from a guy who's 5'8", and you don't think of in those terms. But it's a reminder that a good mechanical swing, connecting with the ball in the right spot, picking the right pitches to swing at, even the little guys like that can generate power. And not to say that he needs to become a power hitter if he's going to make it in the big leagues. If he can just get on base at any kind of regular clip and come through in some important situations, we know the defense and base running is good enough. And here's the stat. I had fun with this a week or two ago about Dylan Cruz and how well the Nats were playing when Cruz was in the lineup. Not so much the case anymore. Well, we're flipping it. It's Nasim Nuñez now. The Nationals all-time are now 19-17 when Nasim Nuñez is in the starting lineup. That's over the last 2 seasons. We know how few games they've won overall the last 2 seasons. They have a winning record, 2 games over 500 when Nasim Nuñez is in the lineup. Go figure that one.
We have found the fix for the rebuild. It is Nasim Nuñez. Hey, a great supporter of the Nats Chat podcast for years now has been Window Nation. If you want new windows, if you need new windows, contact Window Nation. Tell Window Nation that Al Galdi from the Nats Chat podcast sent you. That helps out this podcast a lot. And that gets you a great deal on great Window Nation windows. In fact, now is the best time of year to get new windows. Whether you have old, drafty windows or cheap builder-grade windows, September is the perfect month to protect your home from cooler weather. And right now, Window Nation is offering its most popular offer: buy 2 replacement windows, get 2 for free. Plus, you won't pay any interest, pay any monthly payments, or pay any down payment for 2 years. 866-90-NATION or visit windownation.com and tell Window Nation that you want the deal that you heard about from Al Galdi on the Nats Chat podcast. With Window Nation, you get top quality windows from a trusted company, all at a reasonable price, because Window Nation knows that replacing windows is an investment, and Window Nation wants to make the investment affordable to you. And do not miss this great offer from Window Nation. For listeners of the Nats Chat podcast, the offer is good until September 30th. Buy 2 windows, get 2 free, and you pay nothing for 2 years. 866-90-NATION or windownation.com. That's 866-90-NATION or windownation.com. And tell Window Nation that Al Galdi from the Nats Chat podcast sent you.
Let's be honest. Shopping, not my thing. I go to the store, there's a lot of people that, it's just not my thing. It's not football, all right? I spend way too long scrolling websites just looking for something simple, like a nice pair of jeans, and I'm either overwhelmed by all the choices or can't find anything my style, and end up with stuff that doesn't fit and doesn't work. That's why I use Stitch Fix. You just take a quick style quiz, share your size, your vibe, and your budget, and boom! You're matched with a real human, stylists who handle the rest. They take care of the work for you. They send you a fixed box with clothes that actually fit and make sense for your life, work, weekends, whatever. It saves you time. You look great, and you don't even have to think about it. That's the best part. It's no risk, all style. Try it all on in the comfort of your home. Keep what works, send back the rest. Free shipping and returns, always, and no subscription required. Plus, get a free try-on for your first fix. Get started today at stitchfix.com/podcast to get $20 off your first order, and they'll waive your styling fee. That's stitchfix.com/podcast.
Honey, do not make plans Saturday, September 13th, okay?
Why? What's happening?
The Walmart Wellness Event. Flu shots, health screenings, free samples from those brands you like.
All that at Walmart.
We can just walk right in, no appointment needed. Who knew we could cover our health and wellness needs at Walmart?
Check the calendar, Saturday, September 13th.
Walmart Wellness Event. You knew.
I knew.
Check in on your health at the same place you already shop. Visit Walmart Saturday, September 13th for our semi-annual wellness event. Flu shot subject to availability and applicable state law. Age restrictions apply. Free samples while supplies last.
Now the set of the pitch. Swing and a long drive by Haas. Deep down the left field line toward the corner. Way back. Going, and gone. Goodbye. Bang. Zoom goes Brady House with his 3rd home run of the year. The other 2 came back on July the 12th in the same game at Milwaukee. A 2-run shot with Hassel aboard. RBIs 24 and 25, and it's now the Nationals 7 and the Marlins nothing.
The Nats in this game were really good offensively. 10 runs, 11 hits, 3 walks, 6 for 12 with runners in scoring position. The 11 hits were 3 homers, 2 doubles, and 6 singles. And yes, Brady House did play, and yes, he homered. He is the Nats starting third baseman and number 8 batter, went 2 for 4 with a solo homer, a single, and a stolen base. House in the Nats 2-run fourth had a 2-run homer to left field for a 7-0 Nats lead, and a bunch of other Nats got in on the offensive act in this game. James Wood, he is the Nats starting DH and number 1 batter, 1 for 4, single, and a walk. Dalen Lyle continues to produce. He is the Nats starting left fielder and number 2 batter. He was up to the 2 spot for this game. 2 for 5 with an RBI single and another single, although he did get caught in an attempted steal of second base. He does make outs on the base paths. Lyle in the field and Lyle on the base paths has not exactly killed it, but Lyle in the batter's box has been really good lately. Luis Garcia Jr., he is the Nats starting second baseman and cleanup batter, 1 for 4 with a 2-run single and 2 for 2 on stolen bases, though he did commit a throwing error in a 4-run fifth for the Marlins. We'll get to that. And the Nats' new catcher, Jorge Alfaro, he is the Nats starting catcher and number 6 batter, 1 for 4 with an RBI double, did commit a run-scoring pass ball. But man, it doesn't matter who plays catcher for the Nats these days. Whoever it is contributes offensively. Riley Adams, Drew Millis, now Jorge Alfaro is in on the act.
Who would have thunk that one? Speaking of catchers, by the way, Nasim Nuñez now has as many home runs in the big leagues this year as Keibert Ruiz, who, of course, hit both of his on the first 2 games of the season and not another one since. Obviously, he's missed several months with the concussion. It's been great to see. Not that there was pressure on Jorge Alfaro, but I think given the circumstances, the fact that he hadn't been in a big league game in 2 years and the way that they just kind of plucked him away and brought him up to the big leagues here right away just to finish out the last month of the season. The fact that he had a good first game, I think it helps. It helps explain the move somewhat. It helps make it kind of legitimate that he was here. It was a really nice swing that he put together. He called a good game behind the plate. We'll see. I'm curious how much he catches. I think Riley Adams is going to get the bulk of the starts and maybe even more than 2 out of 3. But we'll see. Alfaro does have pop in his bat. He has some track record in the big leagues as someone who could be valuable. He just hasn't done it in a while. And I think that's the most surprising part about him being up here now. But a good debut for him, absolutely. And, for Brady House, I think that was a really important swing for him. We've talked about how, yes, he should be playing more, but he hasn't done a lot to force that issue with his performance since that 2-homer game in Milwaukee. For him to connect on a ball like that, hit it with that kind of authority, had another hit in the game as well. I think that means a little something to him, and hopefully stuff like that will buy him some goodwill and get him in the lineup on a more regular basis here now the rest of the way.
The next guy who really needs to get going is Dylan Cruz. Cruz in this game as the Nats starting right fielder and number 5 batter, 0 for 4 with 3 strikeouts. Just not a lot of offensive production from him since he came back, so you hope like heck he does get going. Jacob Young left the previous game due to back spasms. Was he available for this game, or do we not know?
It appears he was. I did see him after the game with some bandages, I guess you'd call it, or something across his left side going around to his back. So I think he's still dealing with a little bit of something. My guess was this was a case where they try to avoid him at all costs, but if the situation had arisen, they would have gotten him in there. They got a day off on Thursday before they opened the series in Chicago. It set up well for him not to need to play in this game, but it didn't seem like it's anything all too serious. I think he's fine. I don't think we're talking about him missing any extended period of time.
More dominance from the Nats bullpen. In the 10-5 win over the Marlins on Wednesday afternoon, 4 Nats relievers combined to allow 1 run unearned in 4 1/3 innings. Jackson Rutledge faced 4 batters, got 3 outs. P.J. Poulin tossed 1 1/3 scoreless innings. Mason Thompson allowed 1 run unearned in 1 inning. He in the top of the 8th allowed an unearned run, gave up a walk and a double. And Jorge Alfaro had that run-scoring pass ball. And Shinosuke Ogasawara closed out the game. He tossed a perfect top of the 9th. With 2 strikeouts. So we're seeing a lot of Jackson Rutledge these days. We're seeing a lot of P.J. Poulin these days. Jose Ferrer had pitched on each of the 3 previous days. It turned out this was not a save circumstance, but the nature of this game was kind of wacky. So you didn't know if there was going to be a save opportunity come that 9th inning. Truth be told, this game was not a work of art, okay? This was not a pretty game, but this was a good game for the Nats. But Shinosuke Ogasawara continues to pitch well. He got entrusted with that 9th inning, and he came through.
Yeah, look, he was going to be in there for the save situation. It was a 3-run game as he's warming up, and Miguel Cairo told us afterwards that he was going to, pitch no matter what the score was in the 9th. And it's a reflection of who was available and who wasn't available. But good on the bullpen again. They finally gave up the run for the first time. It was unearned officially because it was off a passed ball. So it's, still no earned runs now over 22 innings, I believe, over the last 5 games for them. I mean, what a turnaround for that group. And the fact that they could keep it going for a third straight game against the Marlins with their quote unquote best guys unavailable is a great sign. I think the underrated part of what the bullpen resurgence that we've seen here over the last few weeks is that it's not just, say, Ferrer and Henry and, one other guy. It's really almost everyone contributing in some way or another. That includes Rutledge, like we've talked about. It includes Ogasawara, includes PJ Poulin. It's been nice to see depth there. And Miguel Cairo has talked all along about, hey, I'm going to use everybody. Everybody needs to be able to pitch in big situations. He's used them, and they have all stepped up here in the last few weeks. Good on that group for coming together like that in a way I don't think any of us really could have seen coming.
Nats relievers in the series combined to allow 1 run unearned in 12 into third innings. Nats relievers in the team getting swept by the Tampa Bay Rays at Nationals Park in 3 games this past Friday through Sunday combined to allow 1 run in 11 and 2/3 innings. So you look at the Nats bullpen on this homestand, 2 runs, 1 earned in 24 innings. That kind of line was unthinkable not long ago. And in fact, it is the reality here right now.
For those interested in learning a new language, whether it be Spanish, French, or something else, check out Babbel. Babbel's 10-minute lessons are quick and handcrafted by over 200 language experts, ready to get you talking about your new language in just 3 weeks, because talking is the key to really knowing any language. Designed by real people for having real conversations, Babbel gets you talking. With over 16 million subscriptions sold, Babbel's 14 award-winning language courses are backed by a 20-day money-back guarantee, so no pressure. Here's a special limited-time deal for our listeners right now. Get up to 60% off your Babbel subscription, but only for Nats Chat listeners at babbel.com/NatsChat. Get up to 60% off babbel.com/NatsChat. Spelled BABBEL.com/NatsChat. Rules and restrictions may apply.
Honey, do not make plans Saturday, September 13th, okay?
Why? What's happening?
The Walmart Wellness Event. Flu shots, health screenings, free samples from those brands you like.
All that at Walmart.
We can just walk right in, no appointment needed. Who knew we could cover our health and wellness needs at Walmart?
Check the calendar, Saturday, September 13th.
Walmart Wellness Event. You knew.
I knew.
Check in on your health at the same place you already shop. Visit Walmart Saturday, September 13th for our semi-annual wellness event. Flu shot subject to availability and applicable state law. Age restrictions apply. Free samples while supplies last.
Now the pitch. Swing and a ground ball towards short. Nunez has it. He shovels to Garcia. Throw to first to Bell. A double play. The inning is over. 6-4-3. Parker gets that 10th double play induced this year and makes a big pitch. Not only stay out of a big inning, to stay out of an inning at all. Well, the Marlins get on the board. They are kept scoreless.
The negative for the Nats in this 10-5 win over the Marlins on Wednesday afternoon was starting pitcher Mitchell Parker having another disappointing outing. He allowed 4 runs, 2 earned in 4 2/3 innings. He gave up 7 hits, which were a home run and 6 singles. He issued a hit by pitch. Now, it wasn't all bad. He had 4 strikeouts versus 1 walk. He threw a lot of pitches, but also a lot of strikes. 91 pitches over 4 2/3 innings, but 66 strikes, just 25 balls. And he began his outing with 4 scoreless innings, but things came apart in the top of the 5th, during which he allowed 4 runs, 2 earned on a home run, 4 singles, and a throwing error by second baseman Luis Garcia Jr. as his rough defensive season continues. Parker had pitched well in his previous outing. The Nats 4-1 loss to the Rays this past Friday evening. Parker in that game, 3 runs, 6 into third innings, 7 strikeouts, no walks. But Parker on Wednesday afternoon, I don't know, what'd you think? I thought mediocre at best. It wasn't all bad, but the end result was not particularly good.
The end result wasn't great, but I actually think he pitched a lot better than that result showed. And I think he and the team were going to take the positives out of it. And, yes, that's the situation that he's in. You sort of have to focus on the positives and don't dwell too much on the negatives. He really, if not for that Garcia error, which was such a lazy, careless play just get the out, and he does this kind of very casual flip to shortstop, to Nunez covering the base, and it flew over his head. Get the out, and Parker is through the inning with 2 runs allowed in 5 innings. Might be done for the day, or might even have a chance of coming back for the 6th. And I think we have a very different take on his outing if that's the case. So I really put a lot on that. Now, it's up to Parker to pick up his teammates when they do make a mistake like that, and he followed it up, giving up the 2-run single. So it's not totally on the defense, and you would love to see him come through in that spot. But what he did for the first 4 innings, I did think was impressive. He got a big double play to get out of a bases-loaded jam in the 4th. You know what else he did in this game, Al? He successfully fielded 2 ground balls hit back to him, and they without any real shaky moment at all in it. So for him, that's a win above all else. So I know the bar is low at this point with him. I think you look at the positives and say that this was an encouraging day for him, even though the bottom line doesn't really suggest that it was, and he doesn't even make it through 5 innings.
Mitchell Parker, Jim Cut-like with his pitcher defense in this game. Luis Garcia Jr. for this regular season, as of games through Tuesday, tied for dead last among all players in the majors in defensive run saved per Sports Info Solutions at -17. We the other day talked about C.J. Abrams, the shortstop, and whether he should be the second baseman. Luis Garcia Jr., the second baseman, should not be the second baseman. He should be, coming off the bench, or he should be DHing. He should not be playing second base. It is rough when you have a shortstop who should not be playing shortstop and a second baseman who should not be playing second base. And yet the Nats have had that defensively this season. And while Garcia has done some good things offensively lately, man, this just has been a terrible defensive season for him. This really is one of the worst defensive seasons, if you go by the metrics anyway, that I can remember any Nats player having. There have been some rough ones. This is one of the worst if you go by things like defensive runs saved.
And the most disappointing part to me is that there was real progress last year we saw from him. He wasn't great, but he was significantly improved from the previous year, and to see it fall right back and even fall lower than it used to be is very discouraging, and I'll be real interested to see how they proceed once we know who's in charge, both at the GM level and at the manager level, what they view him as, and if he is returning as their second baseman, what they do to try to correct the issues, because he needs a lot of work there from a coaching staff. Not to say that the current coaches haven't worked with him. They've worked tirelessly with him, but for whatever reason, it has not worked out. A new voice, a new approach, whatever it is, let's see if it makes a difference. But I mean, what you talk about, second base and shortstop, any team will tell you where they want to be strongest defensively, up the middle. Well, second base, we know, has not been nearly good enough. Shortstop has been below average. Catcher has been well below average defensively. Only center field has been a positive from a defensive standpoint for the Nationals. As we look ahead, as they try to actually turn this thing around, I know they have some players at all those positions who are supposed to be part of the long-term plan. From a defensive standpoint, you could understand when somebody else is in charge, they may look at that and say, that's not going to cut it on a winning team. We need to be significantly better defensively at all those key positions up the middle. And right now, only 1 out of the 4 can you say that about in that center field.
Also with the Nats on Wednesday, we on Wednesday morning had reports that Nats Vice President of Amateur Scouting, Danny Haas, is leaving the Nats to rejoin the Orioles. Danny Haas, the Nats on October 25th, 2023, officially announced the hiring of Haas. He spent the 2019 through 2023 seasons as a special assignment scout for the Arizona Diamondbacks. He worked in amateur and international amateur scouting. Haas worked for the Orioles in a variety of scouting roles December 2011 through the 2018 season. So he's going back to a team that he knows well, but his tenure with the Nats ends up lasting for less than 2 years. Is this, in fact, what it would seem to be, which is he recognizes that massive change is coming, regardless of whether Mike DeBartolo is retained as the head of baseball ops beyond this season or not? Haas is seeking more stable ground, familiar territory in the O's, and so he leaves at an opportunity that is presented to him. Is that how you read this, or is there more to this than I'm saying?
That's my initial read of it, but I want to be careful here because I think this is a good example of, and there may be more stuff like this, where you find out the first bit of news about something, and we really aren't going to know how this fits into the bigger picture until we see all the subsequent moves that are made. And it begins with, yes, who the GM is, but what the front office looks like. Is there a big overhaul? Is there minor changes? Are there other people who leave? And on top of all that, we don't know yet what Haas's role with the Orioles is going to be. They have a scouting department that has taken over since he was there the last time. So is he assuming the same role? Is it a different role? I think until we know all of that, it's hard to say for certain what exactly to make of all this. But I think pretty clearly he was brought in by Mike Rizzo after he was sort of pressured into or believed it was finally time to move on from his longtime scouting director, Chris Klein, given the lack of results in the draft over a good stretch of time. He brings in Klein, somebody who had a good reputation, also brought in Brad Ciolek, who had worked with him in Baltimore, and Reed Dunn, who had worked for the Braves and previously worked for the Nationals. At this point, Ciolek and Dunn are still with the Nats, as far as I know. I think everyone was happy with the Willits selection and the rest of the way this year's draft went. It's still kind of early to know how last year went, although Seaver King has disappointed somewhat, although he's been rushed through the minor leagues, already at AA 1 year out of college. So I think it's one that we're going to need some time to really piece together. But you would think that this is Danny Haas recognizing that it's going to be a brand new group in charge, even if that is Mike DiBartolo, but it's going to be a different way of doing things. And I'm guessing that whatever was offered in Baltimore, he views as a better opportunity, whether that's the actual position and hierarchy or just the organization to be working for them. And so he decided to move on. It's unfortunate that would happen after 2 years. He's pretty well respected in the industry. And like I said, if Eli Willits and the other players they drafted this year turn out to be something, he will have played a big role in their drafting. So it's such a strange job because you can't really evaluate them for 5-10 years down the road. And in a lot of cases, they're no longer in that position by the time you're able to evaluate how well they did.
Yeah, and the other thing is you never know for sure who advocated for what. And so if a pick is really good, well, who exactly deserves the credit for that pick? That usually is not clear. The Nats' hiring of Danny Haas was part of the Nats in the 2023-2024 offseason, revamping their baseball operations beneath then president of baseball operations and general manager Mike Rizzo. And we talked about this on the podcast at the time. And in hindsight, this was an initial sign of something is off here. And I remember bringing this up to you. September 13th, 2023, the Nats officially announced having agreed with Rizzo on a multi-year contract extension. So they extend Rizzo, and then they engineer major change to the baseball operations department over which he is presiding, suggesting that ownership is not pleased with the job that Rizzo is doing, or at the very least is not pleased with the people who Rizzo has working for him. And so it begged a very obvious question. If ownership thought so little of the job that Rizzo was doing or of the baseball operations department that he was running, why did he get that contract extension? And this happened in the middle of a rebuild. So that was the other bizarro part about this. Usually you change the front office before you go into the rebuild or as you're going into the rebuild, not when you're multiple years into the rebuild. And sure enough, Mike Rizzo gets fired this past July 6th. But that to me was strange at the time. That looks even more strange now with Danny Haas leaving after just a few years. And I don't know that will ever make sense that you do something like that. You extend the head of baseball ops, but you engineer major change to the rest of the baseball ops department. And this is in the middle of a rebuild. It's so strange.
That year was the overhaul of the scouting department. I think it was the previous year was the overhaul of the player development department. And so you had two major overhauls underneath the longtime GM while extending the GM at the same time. And, you know, we don't have to relitigate it all, but as we kept saying, there were several opportunities along the way. If ownership wanted to go all the way and make the big change, that would have been, you know, a valid argument for doing it. Either when you're starting the rebuild altogether, so go back to 21, or when his contract was up at that point in 23, and you're acknowledging that there need to be significant changes below him, would have been, you know, an okayed thing to decide then. Ultimately, they let him try to work his way out of it all and see if he could complete the rebuild, but with totally new people working for him. So it is a different path than you would normally expect for something like that. I think the results speak for themselves and the outcomes speak for themselves. So we know how this all happened, but it is a strange thing to believe that they're once again going to be looking for a new scouting director, whether that's promoting somebody else from within or whether that is, Mike DeBartolo or somebody else in the GM job bringing in somebody from the outside. There's so much unknown that probably about a month from now, we're really going to be getting into and see how this plays out over the winter. There's a lot of stuff to be resolved, and I'm fascinated to see what the finished product of all that looks like. And I'm not even talking about what it looks like on the field going into next season, but what the organization looks like going into spring training of 2026.
It's been a long time since we've had a newsy October and November for the Nationals. We anticipate having a very newsy October and November for the Nationals this season. You can always email us, natschatpodcast@gmail.com. From Jonathan in Milwaukee, somehow a poorly attended Wednesday afternoon game against the Marlins in a lost season is exactly right. Where were you for the Nasim Nuñez game? And that's the thing. This game goes down as the Nasim Nuñez game. And yes, this game was very poorly attended. The lowest official attendance for the Nats here this regular season. I guess that was to be expected, a Wednesday afternoon game against the lowly Marlins.
The stars aligned perfectly for it. That first week after Labor Day, first week of September, is always going to see a drop-off with school back in session. You have an afternoon matinee with school in session, and an opponent, as we know over the years, isn't bringing in their own fans to Nationals Park. So I wasn't surprised. In some ways, I was a little surprised that the number wasn't even lower. It's been on my mind here lately. Could they set the all-time record for smallest crowd in Nationals history? And the qualifier to this is that there's a bunch of games in the 2021 season when the COVID restrictions were in place and they were limited to, I think it was 5,000 fans there for a long time. But if you take that out of it, there's been one crowd in Nationals history, paid crowd, under 10,000. That was 92-61. It was the first game of a doubleheader against the Diamondbacks. So that's a makeup game. The smallest crowd for a regularly scheduled, played as planned game was 10,064, July 6th, 2023, against the Reds. We still got some games to go this year. You've got the Pirates coming in. It is a weekend series that might help. You've got the Braves weekdays. Maybe they have enough fans still, even though they're having a bad year, but there's a doubleheader in there. I'm going to be watching that one on a Tuesday. And then the final weekend against the White Sox. It's kind of been in my mind all along that we may see some very low numbers here. It's taken a while to get to that point, and it's a credit to the Nationals and I guess to their fan base that in spite of now 6 straight losing seasons, attendance really hasn't cratered. They're still not in a great spot, but they're not at the bottom of the league, and we're not talking about the smallest crowds ever in Nats history. They've still managed to maintain a base of at least 11, 12, 13,000.
Yeah, the famous quote from Peter Angelos years ago, there are no real baseball fans in D.C., that has been so disproven, especially over these last few years with the Nats not doing well. The attendance, by the way, for Wednesday afternoon, 11,190. So next up for the Nats is a 3-game series at the Chicago Cubs, off an off day on Thursday. Game 1 Friday afternoon, 2:20. Jake Irvin will be the Nats starting pitcher. Game 2 Saturday afternoon at 2:20. Brad Lord will be the Nats starting pitcher. Game 3 Sunday afternoon at 2:20. Andrew Alvarez will be the Nats starting pitcher, as yes, he is getting another turn here in the Nats rotation. And the Nats have the off day on Thursday. They hopefully enjoy it because after Thursday comes a run of 14 games in 13 days. That is going to be testing and perhaps taxing, playing a stretch like that in a season like this, 14 games in 13 days. And how about also, too, the number of afternoon games for the Nats here in this stretch? You go starting this past Saturday afternoon, Sunday afternoon, Monday afternoon, Tuesday evening, Wednesday afternoon, no game Thursday, and then games on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday afternoon. It's like the 1930s right now with this Nats schedule, all these day games.
I'm not complaining about it. I love day games, especially day games at Wrigley Field that we're going to have this weekend because it means 3 free nights in Chicago, one of which I'm going to be making the trek up to Evanston to see the Wildcats play Western Illinois Friday night, God willing, if the game Friday afternoon is completed quickly enough. Old school baseball, I'm all for it. Let's just hope the Nats are responsible in how they treat their free nights that they have coming up here and are still ready to play when they take the field each afternoon.
Mark will be making a special appearance at Bally's Casino this weekend in the Chicago area. So for anyone who is a Nats fan who will be in the Chicago area, know that. Show up at Bally's, hang out with Mark. You'll have a jolly old time. Hit us up on X at Nats_chat. Find us on Blue Sky at Nats Chat Podcast. Email us. We always love hearing from you. natschatpodcast@gmail.com. We have a website you can check out too, natschatpodcast.com, at which you can purchase the Nats Chat Podcast t-shirt. All Nationals radio highlights on Nats Chat are courtesy of 106.7 The Fan. For Mark Zuckerman, I'm Al Galdi. We thank you for listening, and we'll talk to you next time on the Nats Chat Podcast.
Perez deals 2-0. Alfaro lines one up the middle, a base hit past the shortstop Lopez. This is rolling up the gap and will go almost all the way to the warning track. Garcia scores. Alfaro to second, will turn and hold with a double. And it's 3-0 Nationals. He is 1 for 1 as a Nat with an RBI double. That one rolled past the shortstop and kept on rolling and rolling and rolling until it was picked up right at the edge of the warning track. Nobody there in the Marlins outfield.
Honey, do not make plans Saturday, September 13th, okay?
Why? What's happening?
The Walmart Wellness Event. Flu shots, health screenings, free samples from those brands you like.
All that at Walmart.
We can just walk right in, no appointment needed. Who knew we could cover our health and wellness needs at Walmart?
Check the calendar, Saturday, September 13th.
Walmart Wellness Event. You knew.
I knew.
Check in on your health at the same place you already shop. Visit Walmart Saturday, September 13th for our semi-annual wellness event. Flu shot subject to availability and applicable state law. Age restrictions apply. Free samples while supplies last.